Have you ever felt like the spark in your relationship has faded, or that you're no longer as connected to your partner as you once were? Have you noticed frustration, distance, or even resentment taking the place of love and admiration? If so, you're not alone. Many couples experience this shift over time, but here's the good news. Understanding the real reasons behind these changes can help you rebuild your bond and rediscover the love that brought you together. In this video, we'll dive into the psychological and emotional shifts that happen in long-term relationships, particularly why women's feelings towards their husbands can change over time. We'll explore the fundamental reasons behind these changes, like the passage of time, evolving expectations, and the challenges of managing household responsibilities. You'll also learn how small adjustments can have a big impact on restoring emotional closeness and intimacy. But this isn't just about understanding what went wrong. It's about providing you with actionable insights that can transform your marriage. By the end of this video, you'll discover how open communication, mutual respect, and shared growth can strengthen your bond and reignite the love you once shared. So, if you're looking to improve your relationship, keep watching, because the strategies we'll discuss could be the key to rebuilding your emotional connection and fostering a deeper, more fulfilling partnership. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. The passage of time and changing expectations. Time, in all its relentless, unyielding nature, can be both a gift and a challenge for relationships, especially as the years go by. It's one of the most fundamental reasons why women, in particular, may start to feel an increasing distance from their husbands. When two people first meet and fall in love, everything feels new, vibrant, and full of possibility. There's a rush of excitement, an undeniable passion that makes them believe that anything is possible. In those early days, everything about their partner feels like a beautiful mystery. Their quirks and imperfections are not just accepted, they're cherished. The laughter shared over silly jokes, the moments of vulnerability that create emotional intimacy, and the dreams of a perfect future all build a sense of security, a feeling that love can overcome any challenge. But as life moves forward, that intoxicating sense of newness gradually fades into the routine of day-to-day life. The responsibilities of adulthood, career pressures, financial burdens, raising children, take precedence. The relationship that once felt effortless suddenly requires deliberate effort. It's in these moments that time shows its true impact. The feelings of hope, idealism, and unshakable belief in a bright future might start to waver when confronted with the practical demands of daily life. As people age, their personal journeys shape who they are. Their values, their goals, their needs, all evolve. And here lies the heartbreak. Not all couples evolve in harmony. While some might find themselves growing closer, others can feel the devastating weight of growing apart, unable to navigate the changes in each other's hearts, minds, and desires. In the beginning, a woman may have admired her husband's drive, his ambition, his ability to bring joy into any situation. His spontaneity might have been what first captivated her, as well as his ability to make her laugh when the world seemed too serious. His little quirks, the ones that could drive anyone else mad, were endearing to her. His habit of leaving his socks scattered around, his tendency to repeat the same jokes over and over, all of it felt charming in those early days. She saw these as part of what made him him, unique, imperfect, but lovable. But as the years pass, what once felt endearing can slowly morph into something else. The very qualities she once found charming can begin to stir frustration. That ambition she once admired might now seem more like an insatiable workaholism, leaving her with an overwhelming sense of loneliness, as if she's competing for his attention with the demands of his job. His carefree attitude, which was once refreshing, might now come across as a refusal to take things seriously, an emotional immaturity that leaves her feeling unsupported. The little habits that once elicited smiles now trigger irritation, like the unacknowledged piles of clothes left scattered around or the forgotten promises of spending quality time together. Slowly, imperceptibly, the emotional distance grows. As the individual changes, so do their expectations for love, intimacy, and partnership. Early in the marriage, many women may have tolerated their husband's lack of communication or his failure to chip in around the house, rationalizing it as just the way he is. They may have ignored emotional neglect, convincing themselves that things would get better with time. But as they mature, as they grow in their sense of self-worth, their expectations change. The need for deeper emotional fulfillment becomes stronger. It's no longer enough to tolerate the minor flaws or unresolved issues that once seemed small. Now they crave more, a partnership that feels balanced and reciprocal, where they are not just seen, but truly heard, valued, and understood. The passage of time and the evolution of personal desires also change how women view their roles within a marriage. For years, many women were conditioned by society to accept certain unspoken dynamics. The husband as the primary decision-maker, and the wife as the one who bears the emotional and household burdens. But in a changing world, women are awakening to the realization that they deserve more. They begin to question whether their marriage still aligns with the vision they have for their lives. Are they thriving, or are they merely surviving? Are they receiving the love and respect they need, or are they just filling a role in a relationship that feels stagnant? When the answers are unclear or painful, the emotional distance widens, and the once strong connection begins to fray. At the heart of this issue, however, is not just the passage of time, but how a couple navigates that time together. Relationships are not static. They are living, breathing entities that need care, attention, and nurturing. Couples who actively grow together, and who make the effort to evolve with each other, often remain connected. But those who fail to acknowledge the subtle shifts in their relationship, the growing emotional gaps, the changing needs, find themselves drifting apart. The gap between them becomes a chasm that seems impossible to cross, and the pain of that disconnect can feel insurmountable. In these moments, it's not the years that are the enemy. It's the unspoken disconnect, the emotional neglect, the failure to adapt together. Love is not enough to keep a marriage alive. It requires effort, understanding, and a willingness to meet one another's changing needs. Without this time, instead of being a witness to growth and deepening love, becomes the silent thief that steals away the connection once so deeply cherished. 2. The changing roles and imbalance of responsibility. As women enter the later stages of life, they often become increasingly aware of the evolving dynamics within their relationships, especially regarding the roles and responsibilities within the household. In the early years of marriage, the distribution of tasks may seem more balanced, with both partners contributing to the upkeep of the home, the raising of children, and the general flow of family life. However, as time passes, many women begin to notice a stark shift. What once appeared to be an equal partnership starts to feel like an overwhelming burden solely placed upon their shoulders. This shift, often imperceptible at first, becomes painfully clear over time as women find themselves carrying an emotional and physical load that seems to grow heavier each day. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. It's a cruel irony that, even in today's world, where gender roles have evolved and men are more involved in family life than in generations past, the expectation that women will bear the lion's share of emotional and logistical responsibility persists. For many women, this means being expected to juggle a multitude of demanding roles, excelling in their careers, managing household finances, raising children, ensuring their education, maintaining the home, and keeping the emotional fabric of the family intact. The weight of this constant balancing act is staggering and often goes unnoticed. So much of this labor is invisible, but it's an essential thread that holds everything together. This is what we call emotional labor, remembering birthdays, scheduling doctor's appointments, mediating conflicts between children, planning family outings, and, most of all, ensuring that the emotional well-being of every family member is looked after. Even in relationships where men are more involved than in the past, this pattern tends to continue. It's as if the world expects the woman to be the ultimate caregiver, the organizer, the emotional backbone of the household. It's exhausting. As the children grow older, one might think that the responsibilities of motherhood would diminish and that the need for a woman's constant care would lessen. But in reality, the role of a mother evolves rather than eases. Instead of simply taking care of physical needs, she now becomes a sounding board for emotional struggles, an academic guide, and a career mentor, all the while still managing the home and often taking on the responsibility of caring for aging parents. This relentless demand for her time and energy can feel like an unending cycle, especially when her partner, who may have been passive in these areas from the very start, remains disengaged or unaware of the emotional and mental strain she is under. The frustration that builds as this imbalance continues is palpable. There is a deep sense of exhaustion, a silent resentment that begins to creep in when a woman feels like she is carrying the entire emotional and practical weight of the family alone. And yet, her husband, often only focused on his financial contributions, fails to recognize the immense emotional toll this has on her. He may think that his paycheck is enough, not realizing that the mental exhaustion, the constant juggling, and the emotional exhaustion of maintaining everything can sometimes be more draining than any financial contribution. How many times must a woman hear, "I provide for the family," without the recognition that her emotional labor is just as crucial to the family's survival? The emotional toll of carrying this invisible burden can create a rift in the relationship that only deepens over time. A woman who once felt emotionally connected to her husband, who once felt that they were partners in every sense, may find herself questioning whether they are even on the same team anymore. The emotional labor she invests in holding the family together can leave her feeling like she's navigating the journey of life alone. And as the weight of this responsibility grows, so does her sense of isolation. She may begin to feel unnoticed, unappreciated, or even invisible in her own home. The emotional bond she once shared with her husband can slowly erode, leaving her feeling increasingly distant from him. When this imbalance remains unaddressed, it can lead to irreparable damage. Women who feel unsupported may begin to withdraw emotionally, seeking fulfillment and peace elsewhere, whether it's through their children, their careers, or personal hobbies. The connection they once had with their husbands may begin to fray, and they may even find themselves feeling more at peace when their partner is not around, which is a painful realization. It's not just about a relationship falling apart. It's about the emotional fracture that happens when one person feels like they're carrying everything on their own. This is the heart of why so many women, especially in long-term marriages, find themselves questioning their happiness. They are left wondering if they are truly seen and if they are truly valued for all they give. This internal conflict, the imbalance of responsibilities, can quietly suffocate the joy and love that once existed. And without open communication, shared responsibilities, and mutual appreciation, it only gets worse. The resentment continues to build, a silent force that strains the relationship until it becomes a fragile shadow of what it once was. A marriage, once filled with love and partnership, can slowly turn into a delicate facade, held together only by the unspoken expectations and the unacknowledged labor that one partner has carried alone for far too long. 3. Dissatisfaction in the intimate relationship. Sexual intimacy often lies at the heart of a strong, thriving marriage. It's so much more than just a physical act. It's a profound emotional and psychological bond that ties partners together. It's in the quiet moments of touch, the shared glances, and the unspoken words of affection that create a sense of closeness, trust, and mutual devotion. But over time, as life inevitably changes, this connection can begin to falter. The very thing that once united a couple so deeply may become the source of dissatisfaction, creating a growing rift between them. It's heartbreaking to watch a relationship you once cherished with your whole heart slowly fade into something that feels distant and unfulfilled. For many women, the journey through aging brings with it a series of physiological changes that can profoundly affect their desire for intimacy. Hormonal shifts, like those experienced during menopause, can make a woman feel as though her body is betraying her. Decreased estrogen levels can leave her feeling drained, causing a decline in libido, vaginal dryness, and discomfort during intercourse. These changes can be so disorienting, leaving her feeling disconnected from herself and, by extension, from her partner. It's hard not to feel vulnerable when your body no longer responds the way it once did, and sometimes it seems like no matter how hard you try, that intimacy seems just out of reach. But it's not just the physical changes that take a toll, it's the emotional strain as well. Work, caregiving, the endless juggle of life's demands. Each stressor compounds the feeling of exhaustion, both mental and physical. When all of these pressures weigh on a woman, it's no wonder that intimacy often falls by the wayside. But men, too, face their struggles as they age, and these can manifest in ways that deeply affect their relationships. Decreased testosterone levels, erectile dysfunction, and an inability to sustain intimacy the way they once did can be emotionally devastating. These changes can be hard for a man to accept, as they challenge the very essence of his self-worth and identity. In some cases, men may retreat emotionally as a coping mechanism, becoming preoccupied with work or just taking their partner's love for granted. They may not even realize that their lack of affection and attention is slowly pushing their wife further away. When emotional needs go unrecognized, and physical needs are ignored, it's easy for the bond between two people to fray, leaving both partners feeling disconnected. For a wife, the absence of affection from her husband, those little gestures that once spoke volumes, the sweet caresses, the deep, meaningful conversations, can feel like an emotional desert. She may begin to doubt her worth, feeling unloved, unappreciated, and undesirable. It's a painful and lonely place to be, and the longer her emotional and physical needs go unmet, the more resentment and frustration can build. It's like a slow, insidious poison seeping into the marriage, eroding the foundation of love and mutual respect. The distance between them grows until it feels like there's no longer a way back to the closeness they once shared. But the impact of dwindling intimacy doesn't stop at the bedroom door. It begins to infiltrate every part of the relationship. The absence of affectionate touch, of shared moments of vulnerability, of simple joys like laughter and playful banter. These are the very things that knit a couple together, creating a fabric of closeness that is hard to tear. Without these moments, both partners may find themselves emotionally adrift, each feeling a little more isolated, a little more lost. The more this gap widens, the harder it becomes to bridge, until the marriage itself is on the edge of becoming a mere shell of what it once was. And yet, despite all of this, intimacy can be restored. It won't be easy, but it is possible. Rebuilding intimacy in a marriage requires so much more than just physical connection. It demands effort, understanding, and, most importantly, patience. Both partners need to be willing to talk openly and honestly, to share their desires, their frustrations, and their vulnerabilities. It's not about fixing the other person. It's about creating a space where both people feel safe enough to be their truest selves. Seeking help from a professional can be a great way to address underlying issues, while trying new ways of connecting. Whether that's through simple acts of affection, new experiences together, or even just sharing moments of emotional closeness, can rekindle the spark. It's these small but meaningful acts of care that lay the groundwork for the deep, emotional bond that once felt so natural. I truly believe that with effort, understanding, and compassion, couples can rediscover the beauty of intimacy, not just in the physical sense but in every corner of their relationship. The key lies in being open, being present, and cherishing one another through all the changes that life brings. It might take time, but that emotional and physical closeness, when nurtured with love, is the foundation that will carry a marriage through the years, no matter the challenges that arise. 4. Unresolved conflicts and lack of communication. One of the most heartbreaking and common reasons why marriages begin to deteriorate is the gradual breakdown of communication, a slow, almost imperceptible shift that happens as time passes. In the early days of a relationship, there is an undeniable sense of excitement, curiosity, and emotional investment. Partners are eager to share their feelings, discuss their concerns, and resolve conflicts with an openness that fosters deep emotional connection. However, as the years pass and the novelty of the relationship fades, couples often slip into routines where communication takes a back seat. What was once a dynamic exchange of thoughts, feelings, and dreams turns into mere functional conversation about work, chores, and logistics, without the emotional depth or connection that once defined the relationship. The reality is that when communication begins to falter, even the smallest of issues can be left unspoken, ignored, or minimized. These unresolved conflicts, whether they revolve around day-to-day frustrations, unmet emotional needs, or small but nagging disagreements, can quietly accumulate over time, like an unheeded weight pressing down on both partners. At first, these issues might seem trivial, almost too insignificant to address. But when they're left to fester in silence, they build up, becoming much harder to ignore, and eventually grow into larger, more damaging problems. For women, especially, the emotional toll of feeling unheard or misunderstood can be devastating. When a woman expresses her concerns, frustrations, or emotional needs and finds herself dismissed, invalidated, or met with indifference, the pain is palpable. The wound runs deep, often leaving her feeling invisible, unimportant, and deeply alone in her relationship. Over time, this lack of emotional validation can create an insurmountable distance, leading her to retreat emotionally, protecting herself from the hurt of repeated disappointment. The sense of not being truly seen or heard by the one person who is supposed to be her most intimate confidant can be crushing. And when this happens regularly, it doesn't just hurt, it erodes the very foundation of trust and connection that the relationship was built on. The emotional connection that once felt so strong, so secure, begins to dissolve, and in its place comes an overwhelming sense of dissatisfaction and frustration. The growing emotional distance might begin subtly, perhaps with less frequent conversations or a gradual decline in the desire to connect on a deeper, more personal level. But over time, this distance deepens, turning into resentment and bitterness. Small problems that once would have been addressed in a healthy, constructive manner, like arguments over household responsibilities or how to spend time together, start to feel like insurmountable walls. These issues, which might have once been manageable, become loaded with unresolved anger and disappointment when they are ignored or downplayed. What was once a minor disagreement becomes a significant point of contention, simmering beneath the surface, silently tearing the relationship apart. As unresolved conflicts continue to pile up, trust begins to erode, and emotional detachment becomes more evident. The range of these unresolved issues can be vast, everything from financial stress and differing parenting styles to more profound breaches of trust like infidelity or deceit. And in so many cases, these issues are never fully confronted or resolved because the couple falls into a pattern of avoidance. They fear that discussing these problems will only lead to more conflict, or they convince themselves that the issue will somehow resolve on its own if they just ignore it long enough. But this avoidance doesn't make the problems go away. It only makes the divide between them wider, the chasm deeper. The unresolved issues remain in the background, steadily chipping away at the emotional core of the relationship. For women, the emotional void created by a lack of fulfillment can feel suffocating, like a hole that gets larger with every passing day. When emotional needs are not met, the sense of disconnection grows, and even when they are physically present with their partner, they may feel completely alone. Over time, this emotional distance can evolve into a deep, almost painful sense of resentment or even contempt. The person who once brought them comfort and joy now feels like a source of frustration, disappointment, or even anger. What was once a loving, close partnership begins to feel like an emotionally barren desert. It's almost as if the couple has forgotten what it felt like to communicate openly, to share affection and understanding. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As time goes on and unresolved conflicts accumulate, the emotional rift becomes more difficult to bridge. What started as a minor disagreement now feels like an insurmountable divide, leaving both partners questioning whether their relationship can ever be repaired. The thought that their once happy connection could now be on the brink of collapse is devastating. In these painful moments, it's crucial to recognize that communication isn't just about talking. It's about truly listening to one another, validating each other's feelings, and working together to address the issues that threaten to tear the relationship apart. Without this kind of effort, the relationship, instead of being a sanctuary of love and support, becomes a constant source of pain, confusion, and emotional depletion. It's in these moments that a relationship can either sink or rise, and only through real, heartfelt communication can the couple begin to heal and rebuild the trust and emotional intimacy that once made them strong. 5. Personal growth and self-awareness. As the years pass, there is a profound shift in how we view ourselves, and nowhere is this journey more intensely experienced than in women. Aging, with all its layers of joy and sorrow, of triumphs and regrets, becomes the fertile ground for personal growth and deep self-awareness. It's a transformation that touches the very core of our identity, stirring emotions we may have long buried. It's especially significant for women, who, over time, often find themselves in a quiet revolution of the soul. As life's inevitable challenges, milestones, and transitions unfold, they become powerful catalysts, pushing women to confront the parts of themselves they may have neglected or forgotten. For many, this period of introspection is not just a brief moment, it is a profound reawakening. One of the most striking transitions in a woman's life is the shift from being a hands-on mother to navigating the quieter, emptier home of an empty nest. For years, a woman's identity may have been tightly intertwined with her role as a mother, her energy devoted entirely to nurturing, guiding, and supporting her children. The sense of purpose and fulfillment that comes with this role is immeasurable. But as her children grow older and find their independence, women often stand at a crossroads, questioning, what comes next for me? Suddenly, the constant rush of daily responsibilities and the intense emotional connection to their children are no longer at the forefront. This shift is both liberating and unsettling. While there is newfound space and freedom, it also leaves behind a quiet echo of uncertainty. Who am I, beyond being a mother, a caretaker, or a spouse? What have I put on hold for all these years? What dreams have I buried? In this silence, women may be compelled to revisit their desires, to explore passions or career aspirations that have remained dormant for far too long. Perhaps there are dreams of travel, a longing to pursue a new career, or even just a craving to rediscover forgotten hobbies. Life, as it always does, moves forward relentlessly, and with the realization that time is finite, women often feel a growing urgency to seek fulfillment and purpose that is uniquely their own. The desire for change is powerful. It is the deep yearning for something more than the roles they've played, more than what society or family expects of them. It's the desire to finally live for themselves, to feel alive in a new way, in a life that is theirs and theirs alone. This journey can be awe-inspiring, as women find strengths, talents, and desires they never knew existed. They may discover abilities they never had the time or space to cultivate before, passions that had been neglected but are now waiting to be embraced with the fullness of their being. But it is also a time of questioning and discomfort. As their focus shifts inward, many women begin to reevaluate the relationships they've spent so long nurturing. If they have spent decades prioritizing the needs of their family, particularly their children and their spouse, questions arise about the state of those relationships. Are they truly content? Have they evolved? Or have they simply grown stagnant? For many, it becomes apparent that while they have been invested in everyone else, their desires, needs, and dreams have often taken a back seat. And here, in this space of self-awareness, there may emerge a powerful realization, a painful one, at times, that their partner has not necessarily gone through a similar process of growth. They may feel a growing sense of frustration, even anger, at the realization that while they've been giving, evolving, and nurturing, their spouse has remained unchanged, failing to invest in their relationship or themselves. This disparity can create emotional distance, a distance that feels insurmountable when mutual support and open communication are absent. It's a difficult truth, but one that cannot be ignored. At its core, this journey of personal growth is a reclamation of self. It's a time of rediscovery, where women find the courage to face their deepest desires, to confront the parts of themselves that were once hidden, and to embrace a new sense of purpose. They may feel the urge to break free from the limitations of their past roles, redefine who they are, and explore new possibilities. It is a time of reinvention and liberation, where women have the rare chance to cultivate their happiness, free from the expectations of others or societal norms. Though this process can be difficult, even heartbreaking at times, it is ultimately a gift, a chance for women to live fully and authentically. It's a chance to step into the fullness of who they are, embracing their truth with grace and strength. The transformation, though painful in parts, opens the door to a life that is richer, more fulfilling, and deeply aligned with their true self. This is the gift of aging, not simply to grow older, but to grow wiser, more courageous, and more in tune with one's own heart. It is a beautiful and empowering journey that, while fraught with challenges, ultimately leads to a life that is deeply, undeniably lived. 6. Changes in physical appearance and attraction. As we grow older, attraction within a relationship undergoes a significant transformation. One that is not only shaped by physical appearance, but, more profoundly, by the emotional, psychological, and relational bonds we share with our partners. However, the undeniable truth is that, as women age, their bodies experience profound changes that can deeply impact their self-image and sense of worth. It's not just the weight gain, the wrinkles that start to grace our faces, or the shift in body shape. These changes are a natural part of life, yet they carry a heavy emotional toll. The texture of our skin changes, our hair might thin, and our youthful energy may begin to fade. Each one of these signs of aging is a stark reminder of the passage of time, and for many women, they can feel like an assault on their identity, triggering a whirlwind of insecurities that linger in their minds and hearts. These physical changes, while perfectly natural, are often met with a storm of conflicting emotions. For so many women, they represent a shift in how they perceive themselves. Once vibrant, confident, and full of life, they now find themselves struggling to accept a version of themselves that feels foreign. It's not uncommon for women to wrestle with these newfound physical realities and the deep sense of dissatisfaction that often accompanies them. When a woman no longer feels physically attractive, it's not just her appearance that's impacted, it's her whole sense of self. She may find herself questioning her value in the eyes of her partner, wondering if they still see her the way they once did. The absence of compliments, the less frequent moments of affection, or the absence of intimacy can create a void in her heart. This emotional detachment can be so isolating, and the feelings of loneliness can amplify the doubts she already carries within herself. What makes this experience even more painful is the realization that these changes are often not just perceived in isolation. They are part of a broader shift in the relationship dynamics. Many women find that as they age, their partners, too, transform, both physically and emotionally. It can be excruciating when the warmth, admiration, and love that once flowed freely from a husband start to wane. When a partner no longer offers the same affirmations, or when the emotional and physical distance becomes palpable, it can be devastating. These subtle shifts, a decrease in kind words, a lack of physical affection, or an emotional withdrawal, can leave a woman feeling as though she is invisible. It's as if the love and attention that once made her feel cherished have slowly evaporated, leaving behind an aching void. And this feeling of emotional detachment, this distance that feels as though it stretches miles between two people who once shared everything, can devastate a woman's sense of self-worth. When a woman feels that her partner's affection has faded, it triggers deep insecurities. She may wonder if her partner still sees her as desirable, and still feels the same passion and admiration for her. These thoughts, while sparked by the physical changes that come with aging, are only intensified by the absence of emotional validation from her partner. It's as though the physical and emotional pieces of the puzzle no longer fit together in the way they once did, and she is left struggling to find her place in a relationship that no longer feels as it once did. In these moments of uncertainty, a woman may find herself wondering if she is still worthy of love, admiration, and affection. The sadness and confusion that arise from feeling overlooked and unnoticed can be crushing. These feelings of self-doubt, though rooted in the physical realities of aging, are compounded by the lack of emotional support. A partner who may be preoccupied with his aging, challenges, or distractions can unintentionally contribute to this emotional divide. The dynamics of attraction within a relationship become complex when physical change meets emotional neglect. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that the emotional and psychological effects of aging become just as important as the physical changes. It is critical, now more than ever, to acknowledge the delicate balance that must exist in relationships: affection, communication, validation, and mutual respect. It's not just about maintaining physical attraction. It's about nurturing the emotional intimacy that binds two people together. Understanding the vulnerability that comes with aging, both physically and emotionally, is essential to sustaining a healthy, supportive relationship. When partners can truly see and appreciate one another, beyond just the changes in appearance, they create a space where both individuals can continue to feel loved, cherished, and emotionally connected, no matter what changes life brings. 7. Financial stress and lifestyle pressures. Financial stress, without a doubt, is one of the most pervasive and heart-wrenching forces that can slowly chip away at the foundation of a marriage. The weight of financial strain is overwhelming, particularly as couples age and face the daunting reality of securing their future. As the years pass, there's a growing awareness of the need to save for retirement, an often impossible goal when current expenses, like housing, healthcare, and day-to-day living, constantly hover above them like a dark cloud. The fear of an uncertain financial future paired with the ever-growing demands of the present creates a level of anxiety that can feel suffocating. This burden is made even more crushing by the reality of debt, whether it's student loans, mortgages, or credit card bills that seem to multiply no matter how hard one works. And let's not forget the financial strain of raising children. There are moments when it feels like a never-ending uphill battle. Every step forward is met with 2 more steps of responsibility. The sheer weight of these financial demands can seem insurmountable, and unfortunately, this pressure often manifests in marriages, creating a distance between partners that can seem almost impossible to bridge. The tension becomes unbearable when financial priorities within the marriage are out of sync. One partner may want to live in the now, seizing the moment, prioritizing experiences, or accumulating material possessions. In contrast, the other partner may be fixated on future goals, sacrificing immediate pleasures for the promise of a secure retirement or the dream of owning a home. These differing priorities aren't just differences in approach, they're emotional divides that can feel like they are pulling the couple in opposite directions. The sense of being misunderstood, disregarded, or even unheard builds a wall of frustration that becomes harder and harder to tear down. For women, the emotional toll of financial strain is often even more profound. Many women shoulder a disproportionate amount of the family's financial responsibilities, navigating the labyrinth of household budgets, bills, and the endless worry about providing for children, aging parents, and the household's overall stability. When a woman feels that her partner is not pulling their weight, whether through a lack of income or a lack of engagement in managing finances, it can breed deep feelings of resentment. She may feel as if she's alone in carrying the burden, and the unfairness of this imbalance becomes a constant, painful weight on her heart. It's not just about the money, it's about the emotional exhaustion of doing it all, day after day, without the support that's needed. The emotional impact of this constant financial juggling is profound. Women who are already shouldering financial responsibilities often find themselves emotionally drained, their mental energy consumed by the demands of managing both a career and a household. The emotional fatigue of constantly worrying about money, about whether or not there will be enough, can lead to a deep sense of isolation. And as communication between partners breaks down under the strain, the gap between them widens. This emotional distance, fueled by unmet needs, unspoken frustrations, and misaligned priorities, slowly erodes the connection that once held them together. What was once a shared dream becomes a battleground, and before long, the weight of all this stress begins to feel unbearable. But what's even more tragic is how financial strain can bring to the surface deeper issues in the relationship. As arguments over money intensify, partners begin to see only their differences. The emotional bond that once existed between them starts to fade, replaced by distrust and resentment. Intimacy becomes scarce, and affection turns into bitterness. Over time, the focus shifts from building a shared life to merely surviving, and that can be the most devastating consequence of all. Without open, honest, and compassionate communication, financial pressures don't just remain a hurdle to overcome. They can become a chasm that separates two people who once thought they were invincible together. What could have been a joint effort to strengthen the marriage instead becomes a painful reminder of everything that's unraveling. At the end of the day, finances should be a tool to build a life, not a force that drives a wedge between partners. But without the courage to face these financial challenges together, without mutual perspectives, the emotional toll can tear a relationship apart. It takes so much more than just balancing budgets. It takes understanding, empathy, and a willingness to come together, even in the darkest moments, to confront the pressures that come with life's financial burdens. 8. The need for respect and equality. One of the most fundamental emotional needs for women, particularly in marriage, is the undeniable necessity for respect. Respect is not just a word or a fleeting feeling. It is a vital force that sustains the emotional well-being of women throughout their lives, especially as they age. As women grow older, they often develop a deeper understanding of their worth, the immense value they bring to their relationships, and the way they are treated by their spouses. This awareness, profound and often intense, becomes even more pronounced in the later stages of life, when the collective experiences of marriage, career, motherhood, personal growth, and even the quiet struggles of self-discovery take center stage. And it is in these moments, these later years, that women begin to feel an even more intense longing for acknowledgement, for validation, for the kind of respect that honors not just the role they play, but the entirety of who they are. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. For many women, as they step into their senior years, the desire to feel respected and truly valued within the sanctity of marriage becomes more than just a preference. It becomes a necessity, a lifeline. It becomes the cornerstone upon which they seek emotional fulfillment, especially as they navigate the complexities that accompany aging, health changes, evolving personal goals, and sometimes the silent but pervasive fear of being forgotten or overlooked. Respect, in this deeper context, is not just about politeness or the surface-level gestures that we often see as socially acceptable. It goes far beyond that. True respect encompasses the acknowledgement of a woman's tireless efforts throughout her life, a recognition of her individuality, and an understanding of her emotional needs. It is about listening, not just hearing, and valuing her opinions. It is about honoring her decisions, no matter how small or large they may seem, and validating her emotions and desires, particularly in the marriage that she has so often sacrificed for. Respect means recognizing the weight of her contributions, whether she has built a career, raised children, or managed the day-to-day intricacies of the household with a grace and strength that only those closest to her truly understand. And yet, when women feel that their perspectives and the immense contributions they've made over the years are taken for granted, ignored, or worse, dismissed, it can create a growing emotional void. That sense of not being truly seen or heard can erode the foundation of intimacy, trust, and connection within a marriage. Over time, this emotional dissonance can become overwhelming, and as they age, many women reflect on the entirety of their lives, reevaluating their sense of fulfillment, particularly within the marriage they have worked so hard to nurture. They begin to feel that undeniable yearning for equality, a relationship where both partners are not only contributing physically or financially but are also emotionally and mentally engaged with one another. Where both partners can truly lean on each other in times of need, where vulnerability is met with understanding, and where the bond between them is rooted in mutual respect, love, and support. If a woman perceives that respect is lacking, if she feels undervalued or unappreciated, it can spark a deep sense of frustration and resentment. She might retreat into herself, emotionally withdrawing, as a way of protecting her heart from the disappointment that threatens to consume her. This emotional withdrawal, while a defense mechanism, often stems from a profound desire for deeper connection, for a husband who can see and acknowledge the woman she is, not just the roles she plays. And when years of this kind of emotional neglect begin to stack up, the once intimate connection that was once vibrant and full of life starts to feel hollow. The emotional energy she once poured into the relationship begins to fade, replaced by a quiet sense of sadness and longing for the respect she once thought was given in the marriage she had chosen to invest her life in. But it's not just about emotional disconnection. It's about the core of what it means to be human, to feel valued for who you are, no matter your age or the changes your body or mind may go through. This desire for respect is not a fleeting wish. It's a deep, human need that is integral to emotional well-being. For women in their later years, respect and equality are essential not just for maintaining intimacy and trust, but for ensuring that the marriage, and by extension, their lives, are fulfilling and meaningful. When respect is present, it provides a safe space where both partners feel seen, heard, and validated. It nurtures an environment where communication flourishes, where emotional support is freely given, and where both partners feel equally valued, regardless of the external changes that time may bring. And as women move into the later stages of life, they may also become more sensitive to the societal expectations surrounding aging and gender. They may feel even more strongly that they deserve respect, not just because of their role in a marriage, but because of the immense life experiences they have gathered along the way. They may begin to seek relationships, whether romantic, familial, or social, that honor their worth and contributions in deeply meaningful ways. They want to be treated not as a reflection of the past, but as a dynamic and fully realized individual, someone whose life has been rich with experiences and lessons that deserve acknowledgement and reverence. In these later years, both partners must recognize the unique challenges and strengths that come with aging. They must work together to ensure that respect and equality are maintained at the heart of their relationship, no matter what life throws their way. When respect and equality are present, they lay the groundwork for a loving, strong, and emotionally fulfilling marriage, where both partners can thrive. It is this respect that becomes the unwavering foundation upon which everything else is built, where both partners feel secure in the knowledge that they are seen, heard, and truly valued for the entirety of who they are. 9. The desire for change and new experiences. As women grow older, a profound and often undeniable longing for change and new experiences can take root deep within their hearts. For so many years, they've poured themselves into the roles of mothers, partners, and caretakers, managing the chaotic dance of raising children, building careers, and juggling the countless responsibilities of daily life. It's easy to lose oneself in the cycle, to invest so much energy into others and external obligations that the sense of personal desires and aspirations slips quietly into the background. But as time moves forward, children grow up, independence creeps in, and the once demanding routines begin to settle, an undeniable shift occurs. There's an awakening, a realization that something is missing, something deeply personal, something for them. The desire for change starts to blossom like a flower reaching for the sun, drawing energy from the passing years, from the accumulated wisdom of all that's been lived. No longer do they want to be confined to a life that feels more like a series of obligations than a series of experiences. They yearn for something more, something that speaks to their soul, a life that aligns with their true passions and ambitions. The desire to travel, to explore new corners of the world, or to dive into learning something completely different than anything they've known before. It's a hunger for growth, a craving for the unknown that beckons them to step out of their comfort zones. There's this deep, unshakable feeling that life is far too short, too precious, to simply drift along in the same old routine day after day. In this stage of life, time takes on a new, almost urgent quality. The ticking of the clock no longer feels distant but rather pressing. Women begin to ask themselves difficult questions. Am I living fully? Am I truly following the path that excites my heart? The familiar paths that once provided comfort and security no longer seem enough. There's an undeniable pull toward something more, whether it's the thrill of spontaneous adventures, the joy of learning new skills, or the deep satisfaction of doing something that feels completely new and different from everything that came before. It's a hunger for reinvention, for possibility, and for breaking free of any limitations, both self-imposed and external, that may have quietly constrained them. Yet, this desire for change and self-exploration can also stir tension in relationships, especially when their husbands are not aligned with these newfound aspirations. When the partner's vision of life remains fixed in the past, resistant to the idea of change, it can feel like a heavy weight on the woman's spirit. Her dreams for adventure, and her desire to grow and experience life in a new way, may be seen as a threat to the established dynamics of the relationship. There is a subtle, but painful, disconnect that forms. Her wishes for personal growth may feel like an accusation to a partner who is content with the status quo. The emotional distance widens, and what once felt like shared goals can now feel like opposing forces. This gap can lead to feelings of isolation, frustration, and, at times, deep sadness. How can a woman thrive and grow in a relationship that doesn't support the very essence of who she is becoming? The yearning for change can feel like a quiet rebellion, an internal battle between honoring the commitment to the relationship and honoring the call for something more meaningful. When this yearning goes unmet, it can breed a sense of loneliness, an emotional hunger that isn't easily appeased. Some women may begin to question whether their marriage can truly offer the growth and fulfillment they seek, or if it's now standing in the way of their potential. The tension between these desires can lead to painful self-reflection. Can I truly evolve in this partnership? Am I sacrificing my growth to preserve the relationship? These questions, though uncomfortable, are critical to understanding how a woman may navigate the intersection of personal transformation and relational commitment. In some cases, this tension forces a deeper examination of boundaries, both within the relationship and within oneself. It opens the door to the pursuit of self-actualization, the ultimate journey toward realizing one's fullest potential. The desire for change is not just a fleeting whim. It's a powerful force that shapes women's journeys, sometimes in ways they never expected. It is a call for growth, adventure, and self-discovery that, when met with understanding, communication, and mutual support, can transform both the individual and the relationship. But if ignored or dismissed, it may leave an aching void, a longing that refuses to be silenced. Ultimately, embracing change requires both partners to be willing to evolve together, to allow for growth that extends beyond personal desires and into the shared life they have built. It is only with open hearts and minds that a relationship can adapt to the new, vibrant person that a woman is becoming as she steps into her next chapter. 10. The shifts in long-term relationships. Long-term relationships, while deeply meaningful, are not immune to the inevitable shifts that life brings. As we've seen, these changes are often born from the practical challenges of daily life, evolving expectations, emotional disconnection, and sometimes even unresolved conflicts that have lingered for far too long. The wear and tear of time can leave us questioning if we've drifted too far apart or if the spark we once shared is gone forever. But here's the beautiful part. There's hope, and the possibility for something even better lies just within our reach. When we open ourselves to understanding, when we truly communicate from the heart, and when both partners put in the effort, the bond we share has the potential not just to survive but to thrive once again. It may seem impossible at times, like an insurmountable mountain, but if we're honest with ourselves and each other, we'll see that taking small steps toward reconnecting can make all the difference in the world. There's something truly transformative about acknowledging where we've gone wrong, where we've hurt each other, and where we can be better. It requires vulnerability, trust, and most of all, a willingness to evolve together. For couples who embrace this process, the result is often nothing short of incredible. Not only do they repair the fractures in their relationship, but they find themselves rediscovering the love they thought was lost. It's like planting new seeds in a garden that has long been neglected. While the ground may be rough and unyielding at first, with care and attention, those seeds bloom into something even more beautiful than before. Couples who are ready to face these challenges head-on will find that the bond they share can deepen in ways they never imagined. The relationship they rebuild will be stronger, more resilient, and more fulfilling than ever before. The shifts in a long-term relationship, while often difficult and disorienting, provide an invaluable opportunity to reassess what truly matters. They ask us to step back and look at how far we've come, how we've changed, and how our connection can evolve alongside those changes. When we are willing to do the hard work, when we make the conscious decision to nurture the relationship, we often find that the love we thought we were losing was simply waiting to be rediscovered, waiting for us to fight for it, to care for it, and to protect it. What many fail to realize is that love isn't something that just happens and stays intact without effort. We tend to believe that it's enough to let things unfold on their own, especially in the beginning, when everything feels fresh and new. But true love requires ongoing maintenance, not just in the early stages when we're infatuated with each other, but throughout the many years we spend growing together. As we evolve as individuals, so must our love, and that requires constant care. It's about being present, being mindful of the needs of both partners, and nurturing the emotional connection that made us fall in love in the first place. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 4 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The key to overcoming the inevitable struggles that come with long-term relationships is open and honest communication. If we can be brave enough to express our needs, our frustrations, and even our doubts, we open the door to true partnership. It's not about blaming or criticizing, but about making decisions together, as a team, about how we will move forward. In those moments of vulnerability, when both partners listen and support each other, the foundation of trust and respect is solidified. It becomes the bedrock upon which the entire relationship stands. Recognizing the changing dynamics in both partners, acknowledging that we're not the same people we were when we first met, is crucial in preserving the emotional bond that originally brought us together. It's about accepting that life will always bring new challenges, but the ability to grow together through those challenges, rather than allowing them to tear us apart, is what makes a relationship truly resilient. There will always be ups and downs, but it's in those shared moments of struggle, vulnerability, and effort that the love we feel for each other becomes a lifelong, unwavering force. It's not just about getting through tough times, it's about coming out stronger on the other side, together. 11. Moving forward with purpose. Life is not without its challenges, especially when it comes to relationships. As time goes on, it's easy for couples to fall into routines, and for the initial spark of passion to fade, leaving them feeling like strangers to one another. But amid those struggles, we must remind ourselves that both partners play an equally important part in the success of the relationship. It's not just about enduring the inevitable changes, but about creating a bond that thrives despite them. It's a journey, and every step forward is an opportunity to rediscover what makes the partnership meaningful. The act of showing empathy, truly listening to each other's fears, desires, and dreams, becomes more precious with age. Relationships, like any worthwhile endeavor, require constant effort and attention. Yet, this doesn't feel like a burden when love is present. Empathy nurtures understanding, and understanding nurtures closeness. Openness to change, even when it feels difficult or overwhelming, is another key. Yes, people change over time. They grow in ways both beautiful and complex. But change does not have to create distance. It can strengthen the connection if both partners approach it with mutual respect and a willingness to evolve together. It's easy to drift apart, especially when the world around us demands so much of our attention. But when we're anchored in the deep foundation of our core values, the very reasons that brought us together in the first place, the flame that once ignited our hearts can be reignited. The passion, the intimacy, the laughter, it's still there, waiting for us to remember it. The goal isn't merely to survive the passage of time, it's to thrive together through it. To feel that rush of joy, even in the quiet moments of life, knowing that we are building something lasting, something rich with love and understanding. It's about supporting one another's emotional and physical well-being, creating a partnership that brings out the very best in both people. When you stand together, both physically and emotionally, life becomes so much more than the sum of its challenges. It's a journey that's meant to be savored, a partnership that is continually enriched by shared experiences and growth. Ultimately, it's about rediscovering who we are, not just as individuals, but as a couple. When we love deeply and respectfully, and hold each other close in our shared dreams, we come to realize that this love is more than a foundation. It's the very purpose of the journey itself. Together, hand in hand, we shape a life full of meaning, laughter, and joy, a life we could never have imagined alone. As we wrap up today's video, I hope you've gained valuable insights into nurturing relationships, embracing change, and rediscovering the purpose of your partnership. Life may throw challenges our way, but it's how we respond, together, that truly defines the strength and beauty of our connection. So, what have you learned so far? What's one thing that resonated with you, something that you'll start practicing in your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comment below and share how you plan to apply what you've learned today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more meaningful content. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to continue this journey with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.